Good evening, everyone. It is Tuesday, March 10th at 6 p.m., and this is the regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Zoning Appeals. We will begin this evening with a roll call.
Ms. Janice?
Here.
Mr. Klinger is absent. Mr. Norvell?
Here.
Mr. Zimmer?
Here.
And Ms. Stransky?
Here.
We have a quorum.
We'll waive the reading of the policy of conduct and procedures, but have them inserted into the minutes. The next item is to approve the minutes from January 14th, regular scheduled meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Janice?
Yes.
Mr. Norvell?
Yes.
Mr. Zimmer?
Yes.
Ms. Stransky?
Yes.
Motion approved.
The first petition this evening is B100-20 Micropore America, requesting a use variance to add a logo to their sign on Ohio Street. Is there somebody here to speak to that petition?
Would you like to speak to it? Do you want me to speak to it? Mr. President, upon further review, upon further review of that application, we realized it was not noticed correctly, so we had to respond to them and have them renotice that petition. I have spoken with just recently, just today, yes, this morning, the petitioner, and they are going to file an amended petition for next month's BZA, and I've addressed all the things, the correction that they need to make to get that noticed correctly. Should we ask for a continuance tonight? If it would be appropriate, I would ask that maybe you would consider a continuance for that,
Motion.
if you so choose.
Sure. So we have a motion to continue that petition. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a second.
Ms. Janice?
Yes.
Mr. Norvell?
Yes.
Mr. Zimmer?
Yes.
And Ms. Stransky?
Yes.
Okay, motion to continue. And I'll make sure that I let them know what we've done, what action we took tonight.
Okay, thank you. So in regards to the next petition, Skylar, do you want to discuss accessory dwelling units at this time, or do we want to hear the petition first and then?
Let's introduce the petitioner, get them up here, hear what they have to say, and then I'll try to address it all in hopefully a concise manner within my report.
Great. So
And then you guys can ask me questions.
Okay, great. So is there somebody to speak to the petition B-101-20, John Condon and Jessica Dent? Yeah, come up to the mic and give us your name and address.
Jessica Dant.
John Condon. We live at 710 Washington Park Boulevard, Michigan City. Sorry, I'm unfamiliar. Do you want me to just go
just
through?
describe what you'd like, why you're asking for this variance.
John, to give us an overview of what you're trying to do,
Okay.
and then read through your findings.
Okay. At our property, bought the house about 2 years ago. It was originally a double lot that was joined, and then so the house is built on 160 by 100 lot, and then our side yard, which is totally fenced in, is just undeveloped. There's nothing on it, and we are hoping to build a accessory dwelling unit there for a family to come visit, seeing as I'm the last one that lives here. That is our hope and our plan. You're all right. Number one, one here states that the use variance requested in the petition will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community because of the following facts. The ADU will be built quickly and efficiently as possible to avoid disruption in the neighborhood. The footprint of the ADU will be minimally intrusive to the main house and to the immediate neighbor on the other side of the fence to the west side of the property. The ADU will not obstruct any views or misrepresent the neighborhood, and the ADU will share the design details of the main house to keep the aesthetics continuous. The use number 2 here states the use variance requested in the petition will not affect the use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance in a substantially adverse manner because of the following facts. The ADU will be built 20 plus feet from the main house and the neighboring property. The ADU will be under 400 square feet and built within existing fenced-in yard. The ADU and coordinating off-street parking will only change the functionality of the property already included in 710 Washington Park Boulevard. Number 3, that the use variance requested in the petition arises from some condition peculiar to the property involved because of the following facts. 710 Washington Park Boulevard lot includes 2 full-size buildable lots. In lieu of replatting and selling the spare lot for a single-family home build, the ADU will add space and value to the main house. In Lake Hills subdivision, 710 is one of few properties with a double lot. A larger 2-story home could potentially be built and added to the street, changing property values and character of the neighborhood. Number 4, that the use variance requested in the petition will constitute, by the strict application of the terms of the zoning ordinance, an unnecessary hardship if applied to the property for which the variance is sought because of the facts as follows. The main house was built in 1962, has only 1 full bathroom. Instead of remodeling the main house, the ADU will add separate new space and another full bathroom. Building the ADU detached rather than above our garage or the second floor would ensure that we will utilize the empty lot next door without losing integrity of the main house. Number 5 states that the use variance requested in the petition will not interfere substantially with the comprehensive plan adopted because of the following facts. The ADU will not disrupt or delay any plan, regulations, or community progression. The neighboring community, Beach Walk, almost all have houses detached and attached ADUs. The ADU at 710 will add space and amenities to the current property without adding a separate full-size single home to the neighborhood.
Thank you. Any questions from the board members?
Yeah, does that not take your zoning on your personal property and make it multifamily with building an additional building on that lot?
Not from my understanding. I got my home through a VA loan, and I spoke with them, and they would cancel out my VA loan to be a multi-unit. It would all be off the same water meter, the same electric, and the same sewer.
But for all intents and purposes, it's 2 separate buildings, 2 separate homes.
Correct, but it would not be occupied by anybody other than family visiting.
It's not going to be a rental? You're not
No,
going to have
no, ma'am.
anybody living on there as a rental?
No, ma'am.
May I add something to that?
Sure.
I think it's very pertinent to the conversation to note that it has been noted in one of the reports that Skylar will read to you by one of the city departments. The water department, Randy Russell has indicated that it must have a separate water meter if it's other than family. But if it's family, they can utilize it with just the existing water meter. So I've heard the petitioners commit to you that it's only going to be family using that property. And if you wish, you certainly could add that as a commitment and a condition of your approval.
That it remains only for family use?
Correct.
I think I would like to do that, yes.
I might add too, I might note, just adding to Attorney Hale, that the way that we kind of track multifamily, say, in an area similar, like let's take Elson Grove with the larger houses that have been split up. They've been that way for years, but we actually have to have they all have separate meters and things like that. So it is, Mr. Russell is correct with saying, if it was something separate, they would have to have a separate meter, probably separate gas, etc. To basically consider it a separate unit. A separate meaning separate, total separation of use.
Okay, but I also know there are places in Michigan City where they have small buildings to the side or the back and they rent them for cash and they're separate units per se, but they don't have separate services.
Will not dispute that.
Okay.
Just a question I have, why is it that you want to build a separate building as opposed to just add on to the existing house to get the same thing?
So the house is currently built on a slab, and all the plumbing that runs through the home is, to do it, I remodeled the whole house and I got new floors, so I would be ripping up the floors, trenching out the concrete, rerunning pipes, but if I can tap in on the outside, and we just resided the house with all new hardy board, and would be ripping that down, and then it would be cheaper, and it would help a lot. I mean, my sister, she has a husband and 2 kids, and then my parents, they're retired, and my brother and his wife, when they all want to come visit, it'd be nice to get a little separation, a little space from each other.
Okay.
Mr. Conn, have you done research to see you can tap in outside?
Correct. Yes.
rather than blowing a hole out of your corner of your house.
Right. I had a plumber come out and take a look, and he sorted all that out for me in advance.
Just one more comment, and it's an aesthetic question, but you wrote in your first finding and order that you wanted the house, your new ADU, to share design details with the main house to keep it visually connected. And I'm all for that. So when I look at the drawing, the elevations there, your main house has a gabled roof, and you want to put a shed roof on this building. So I'm just curious why you chose to do that, because it would look very different.
Right. The idea behind that was we didn't want to be very intrusive, and to put in the gabled roof, we were going to add height next to our neighbor. We were trying to say as minimally intrusive as possible. I could put a gabled roof on there, no problem, if that would work better.
Well, I can't say that it's going to be a condition, but I think just aesthetically, I think you might consider that, because I think it would look better.
Sure.
It would look like it belongs to your property and to your house, as opposed to looking so much like a shed or an accessory building.
Yep.
Just an input, that's all.
Will do. Thank you.
So, Skylar, why don't we listen to your report and then see if there's any other questions, and then see what happens.
I'm gonna try to go over this. I'm gonna go ahead and pass this around. This is the original plat. This is Lake Hill's second sub. So I just went ahead and pulled it just to see what it looked like. So I'm just gonna hand it around. I'll reference it here. You'll know what I'm referencing. So this is a report on petition B 10120 710 Washington Park Boulevard. The Water Department, Randy E. Russell, superintendent, has no objections. But if the intention is to be used by anyone other than family, such as a rental, etc., a separate tap and meter will be required. Sanitation Department, Steve Sanford, MCESD engineer, and the district has no objections to the request. Jeff Bruder provided no objections at this time. The planning department, the petitioner, is requesting a use variance for the construction of a detached accessory dwelling unit in a vacant lot included in a current platted property. Which the plat is what I'm handing around to you guys right now. The property is zoned R1E, waterfront residential. Required. Zoning ordinance table 04.02, permitted uses. Accessory dwellings are permitted by special exception use by the BZA. But if you go to zoning ordinance 14.01 residential, Subsection C, subsection 1C, constructing accessory dwelling units, constructing a detached accessory dwelling unit on a site with an existing dwelling except in the R1E district where such a method is prohibited. And at that point I want to pause and go over, this is the actual section right here, if you look at this. You'll see accessory dwelling units, this is subsection C of that section. One accessory dwelling unit may be erected on a lot containing an existing single-family dwelling through the following methods. A. Converting an existing area, attic, basement, or garage. B. Adding floor area to a principal building, providing compliance with the lot coverage standards set out in Table 04.04, building dimensions. Sorry, that got cut off. C. Constructing a detached accessory dwelling unit on a site with an existing dwelling, except in the R1E district where such method is prohibited. So that's where the need for a use variance comes in. If this was not an R1E district, they would be asking you for a special exception use tonight. For the same, I would probably give you the same report, but we would be asking for a special exception use. So therefore, that's why they're asking for a use variance. So I want to be clear about that. It's the zoning that actually kicked that in, and we have talked about kind of why haven't you. So they could ask you for a special exception as the way it's standing right now. If they wanted to go up with their building, they'd be asking for a special exception use. But since it's detached, that's why the use variance is here. So just want to kind of clear that up. That's why I printed this out. And then you can read the other requirements. So. Okay. Requested. The petitioner is requesting a use variance to allow the construction of an accessory dwelling unit on a double lot in an R1E zoning district. Comments. This home is located on a double lot with double frontage. The two original lots have been combined into one lot. See Exhibit A, which I've highlighted for you guys. That's the lots. It's lot 2 and 3, if I'm not mistaken, in Block 6. The original lots are each 60 by 100 for a combined total lot of size 12,000 square feet. So when they combine those two lots together, they have 12,000 square feet. The home is essentially built on one lot, Lot 3. The standards for development standard variance are actually for a variance are found in Zoning Code 28.11b and are set out below in italics with the department's proposed findings. Number 1, the approval will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community. The proposed use will not be injurious to the health, safety, moral, or general welfare. This is a double lot with double frontage. Originally, this was more likely scheduled to have 2 homes rather than 1. And I might note that with a double frontage, it could face the opposite road as well. 2, the use and value of the area adjacent to the property will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner. The addition of a small ADU will not be injurious to the adjacent use and value of property. The use will still remain single-family residential. This additional use in no way affects the underlying zoning. Number 3, I combined 3 and 4. So, number 3, the need for a variance does arise from some condition peculiar to the property. /4, the strict application of the terms of the zoning ordinance will result in practical difficulties in the use of the property. Practical difficulties shall result from exceptional or extraordinary circumstances or conditions applying to a property that do not apply generally to other properties in the same zoning district. The variance shall be necessary for the preservation and enjoyment of a substantial property right similar to that possessed by other property owners in the same zoning district. The zoning code states that a homeowner may petition the BZA for a special exception use for an ADU by conversion of attic, basement, or garage space by adding on to an existing structure in all residential districts. But in an R1E district only, it is prohibited to add an ADU by a detached accessory structure. Rather than adding on to the structure with another story or another wing, the staff believes this is a much more cohesive addition to the lot and surrounding area. This was originally a two lots, both of which were considered buildable, and could be today if separated. Our current zoning there requires a 50 by 100 lot, so they're at 60 by 100. The lot is currently vacant and has no accessory building at this time. Also, the surrounding homes are generally on one lot and restricting use of a vacant lot is an unnecessary hardship. If this were a single lot and the request was for a single detached ADU on the lot, the planning staff would have significant concerns. So my point is, this is a double lot. If this was a 50 by 100 lot with this house on it, I believe I would have a lot more concerns about a detached, standalone accessory dwelling unit. It would offer up parking problems. Where would you park on it? It would offer up a set of other problems. So, recommendation, the staff recommends approval of B-10120 with the following conditions. Number one, the new 2-car off-street parking area constructed that by time of certificate of occupancy. So it needs to be in before we issue certificate of occupancy for the structure. Number two, retaining or replanting the area directly behind the ADU with a plant buffer. I noticed like that fence line is kind of, let's not call it overgrown. It has trees in it. If we could either maintain that or put something else there if you plan on getting rid of it. And then I will go ahead and add the third condition, as Ms. Stransky suggested, which would be that, help me with the wording, what would...
It's not for rent, it can't be a rental.
It can't be a rental. It would need to remain for your family use. That's my report. And now I'll listen to your questions.
So shouldn't the condition say, though, that they should just conform to all the requirements of an accessory dwelling that are listed here?
Yes.
Okay. Because one of the items is, it talks about the roof.
Sure.
And the windows and the siding, all those details need to be incorporated.
Sure.
So we could say...
I could review those in-house, so if you wanted a gabled roof versus the shed roof, I think they were just trying to not be, obviously he's alluded, not intrusive to their neighbors. If the gable is, I don't know.
Easy day.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to matter one way or the other, but I think it would look more consistent with the original house if it was the same kind of roof. The other thing is, when it rains, the water will go in two directions instead of all in one direction toward your neighbor to the west.
Sure.
Okay, so then why don't we just add a third condition saying that they follow all the requirements of this section, whatever the section number is.
That would be a fourth, actually, let's just, that would be your fourth condition.
Oh, right, okay.
Now, Skylar, would this residence have to be registered with the city, being nobody lives in it year-round? Would it still have to be registered up at City Hall with the inspection, or with the inspectors? Yeah.
I don't know the answer to that, but honestly, as long as it's kept up and kempt and maintained, really that vacant housing list is really for that type of house. Plus, you're giving them permission to build an ADU. It's not a residence; it's an accessory dwelling unit. If we drive over there and it's covered up with vines, and then maybe we could talk. But an ADU is an accessory dwelling unit, so it's an accessory to the dwelling unit they have. The unit is their house, and we're giving them an accessory dwelling. So an accessory building is a garage. It's a gazebo. Accessory building could be a pool or a pool house. Those are examples of accessories. It's an accessory too. You can't build an accessory. So if they came to us and said, hey, I want to build an ADU, then I'm going to build a house, they have to establish a main residence first before we can allow them to build accessories, because they're accessories too. Okay. I don't know if does that help, Kathy?
Yes.
Okay.
How's it going to be heated and cooled?
The gas line will be ran over, and we'll have an air conditioning unit put in for the house. Yeah.
Okay. I just didn't see a mechanical room per se or anything. Is it going to be like up in the attic or maybe?
Yeah, there will be a space enlarged on the back side of the bathroom there that goes into the bedroom. With a small water heater.
Okay, I see water heater here, yeah. So in that area?
Yes.
There'll be a furnace then? Okay.
Might I add that if you make the recommendation for approval or you won't put the conditions in, would it be okay if I reviewed, staff reviewed, not me, it'd probably be someone in my department reviewed the gabling of the roof, the design of the building? if you
Yeah.
will? Okay.
Yes. Okay, so any further questions from any board members? So do we get a motion then to approve this petition?
I make a
May I-
motion
may
to
I
approve.
have
But we have to add, oh, I'm sorry,
Oh, we have to read this.
Steve's gotta give his report. Okay, sorry, Steve.
Cutting him short.
I have a report for petition B-101-20. The owners are John Condon and the petitioners are John Condon and Jessica Dant, requesting use variance for property at 710 Western Park Boulevard. I just want to initially advise you that I've had an opportunity to review the notice requirements and documentation submitted by the petitioner. It meets our requirements and you're free to consider this matter this evening. Next, I would note that the record in this matter includes the original materials submitted by the petitioner, which included the petition for use variance, computer-generated pictures of the proposed accessory dwelling unit, floor plan and 4 elevations of the proposed accessory dwelling unit, beacon overhead map, a list of the name and addresses of adjoining property owners and a map of their locations, and the petitioner's proposed preliminary finding and order, which I would note, both the planning department report and the petitioner's report submitted appropriate findings, which were significant, and I was impressed by what the petitioners did. In addition, the record includes the planning department report, and I believe Mr. York submitted 2 documents for your review. They are both part of the record, both the original plat and a copy of the ordinance that he submitted to you, or section of the ordinance. Finally, the record includes this report and the presentation of the petitioners. I think you understand the issue here, and I would just say that if you want to adopt findings, as I indicated to you, the petitioner did a pretty darn good job with theirs, and Mr. York submitted as usual his recommendations together with conditions, and any motion must include all the conditions of reference to what we've been discussing this evening. Finally, you may grant this request as requested. You may partially grant it or grant it with limitations. You may grant the request but subject to certain conditions as enumerated in your motion. You can deny the request or you can table it for further review.
Thank you, Steve. Now, do we have any more questions or do we have a motion?
I move that we accept the petitioner's presentation, finding of facts, the planning department's report, along with the attorney's report, and that petition B-101-20 be approved to include all recommendations and conditions.
This is a matter of clarification. That approval of the planning department conditions includes the 2 additional ones that were discussed. And I believe Mr. York added orally to his report.
Yes.
So we have a motion?
Hold on. That includes the 4 that we added here tonight? Yes.
Just
Okay,
said
thank you.
all recommendations.
Okay, thank you.
Leslie.
Motion to approve.
I second that.
Ms. Janice?
Yes.
Mr. Norvell?
Yes.
Mr. Zimmer?
Yes.
Ms. Stransky?
Yes.
Motion approved.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for being here and good luck.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Can I get the?
Yeah.
Just that, that's all I need.
Our next, are we ready for the next petition or?
Our next petition, so, yes, let me get situated.
Sure. Go ahead.
Our next petition tonight was going to be B-102-20. James Epstein requesting a special exception used to allow for used car lot in a B2 zoning district located at 3609 East Highway 12. This petition is, upon further review of the notices, they missed a few properties that we feel should be noticed. They were adjacent. And I have let him know that we couldn't hear it tonight, and he's going to have to re-notify, make sure that he hits all those adjacent properties before we can publicly hear this.
If I may add something, please. In addition to missing, it was my opinion that the notice form, we were given a form of the notice that was sent out to the adjoining neighbors, was not sufficient. And I want to discuss that just a little bit with you all so you'll understand my philosophy, and you can correct me if you think that we should adopt something different in reviewing these matters. So our ordinance requires that the notice advise the property owners as to the nature of the request. This notice is just an example, indicated that the petitioners were requesting a special exception use, period, stop, point. I believe that the true spirit of our ordinance requires that you have to advise the public, including adjoining neighbors and in your newspaper advertisements, what in the world it is that the petitioner is asking for, not just what type of process the petitioner is following. So I want this record to be clear that it was my opinion as a counsel for this body that the notice that was proffered to us was not sufficient just in the wording that it used.
Great. Thanks, Steve. All right, so.
I might add that I had a lot of people coming to my office over this one asking questions, and I had to be the one tell them what was actually going on. So, anyways.
Okay. Any old business? Yes, we have old business. The Gates is.
I would like to discourse on that.
Okay.
You should recall that the Gateses came before this body some time ago. Actually, it was December of 2019. And this body approved their petition for development standards variance at 812 Lakeshore Drive. In discussing that, Mr. York very explicitly indicated that the approved variance in one instance was to a setback of 7 feet 1 inch.
Yes.
And this was put into the formal written decision and findings of fact. In one place it's 7 feet 1 inch, but through my error, it was put in elsewhere in that as 7 feet, or as 7 feet 11 inches. So, Ms. Stransky felt strongly, and I agree strongly, that we have to correct that.
Good.
Because it was already recorded rather quickly, and we wanted to get also recorded a correction. So what you have before you, the first page is just a description of what happened in 3 paragraphs, and attached to it is a corrected decision and findings of fact in the standard form that we always use, and you will notice that it states in item 5 that it's 7 feet 1 inch and not 7 feet 11 inches. So I apologize for the error. I ask that you have a motion and approve the corrected decision and findings of fact as submitted to you in this written form.
Motion to accept the corrected paper.
Second.
Ms. Janice?
Yes.
Mr. Norvell?
Yes.
Mr. Zimmer?
Yes.
Ms. Stransky?
Yes.
Motion approved.
Any new business?
Not tonight.
Any public comment? Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
We are adjourned. Thank you.